What's Gucci Top 10 fam? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. I know you guys don't like Gucci, but someone commented on a video the other day that they hadn't been asked if they were Gucci in a long ass time, and that made me sad, so this was for you. But anyway, back with more theories. Yes, cause you guys love watching them, I love doing them, everyone wins. Cartoons, are they really as simple and innocent as we think? Never. So let's just get into it. These are the top 10 scary Cartoon Network theories part 2. Starting us off with number 10 is Johnny the Kid part 1. I actually watched a lot of Johnny Bravo, mostly because it was usually on around the time I came back from school, and after a stressful day thinking boys had cooties at school, I came back and watched a cartoon about a guy hitting on girls constantly. Great logic, amen. Johnny Bravo was a smooth talking Elvis impersonator, I feel. I mean, he never said he was Elvis, but he just acted like him. Although he looks like a muscly good looking guy on the outside, this theory suggests he's actually just an annoying kid. I mean, think about it, he never ever gets any of the girls he hits on, but that could be because of his approach, but humor me. His best friend is an 8-year-old, which is just strange for a grown man, and he even calls a lot of the girls he wants mama. I know that could be the whole Elvis reference, or it could be the fact he's a child and that's just how he speaks to all the women. What do you guys think? Coming in at number 9 is Johnny the Kid part 2. Continuing on with Johnny Boy, an alternate theory explores the fact the women he hits on usually hit him or inflict some kind of physical pain when rejecting him, which could be, I mean, screwed up if he was a little kid. But if we just take a look at his behavior and look at the fact he exaggerates about so much, like the man can't even identify a single flaw in himself. In every episode he literally compliments himself 5 times in the first 2 minutes, or 2 seconds, really it's either or. So he could easily just take the pain he feels from the rejection and externalize it into physical pain. Honestly, I'm not totally convinced by this theory. I get how someone could come up with it, but I feel like he genuinely wants these girls to a point it would be very abnormal for a kid. Like, that is his sole mission in every episode, and surely 8-year-old guys aren't that obsessed with getting girls at that age. Please, hopefully. God knows what's going on these days. At number 8 we have Lucien. I had a love-hate relationship with the Cramp twins. Like, I initially hated the show, but then the more I watched it, the more I realized I really freaking liked it, so I was like, they got me. Anyway, this theory claims that Lucien's life is tragic. I mean, isn't all of ours? The whole show takes place in his head as he goes through foster care. Wayne, his twin brother, was actually stillborn, which is why he's blue and has red around his eyes. His mom Dorothy died a few days after giving birth to Lucien, hence she's yellow, and his dad Horace got so depressed after the death of Wayne and Dorothy that he hung himself, and hence he's green. After everyone basically dies except Lucien, he gets put into the foster system, and the family he ends up with neglects him quite a bit and doesn't give him any attention. Unhappy with his life, as anyone would be, he starts to imagine what it would be like to have a family that loved him, and that's the show, really. His friends play along with his delusions because they are riddled with guilt over his situation. Childhood ruined. Filling our number 7 slot is COMA 10. Whether you choose to admit it or not, Ben 10 was lit. I feel like every episode was so action-packed and interesting, and the tension between Gwen and Kevin was also fab. I loved it, I was here for it. And it was surprisingly easy to remember all the aliens Ben would turn into, even though there were like 10 of them. Either way, this theory takes us back to the first ever episode. In it, Max, Ben, and Gwen are camping, and Ben takes a walk seeing a shooting star on his way. He wishes on it, hoping he won't have a boring summer, and the star starts heading straight for him. He dodges out of the way, and the shooting star ends up being the capsule that had the Omnitrix in it. But what if he didn't dodge it? What if he just tripped on something as he was wishing on the star and he fell unconscious? Think about it. Max and Gwen don't even go looking for him straight away. If that huge thing crashed into the forest, they would have. If Ben just tripped, then they wouldn't have even known that happened, so they wouldn't have looked for him. So everything in the show is happening in Ben's head while he's in a coma. He's a fan of comics and video games, and the aliens he becomes resembles actual heroes. Like, Heat Blast is kind of like Iron Man, even his mask looks similar. And obviously, if Ben wanted not a boring summer, that means he finds Max and Gwen boring, so in his coma state, Max becomes one of the plumbers, and nerdy Gwen becomes a magical martial arts expert. That doesn't even sound like a half bad coma. Although I don't wish to be in a coma, I'm just saying I wouldn't mind being Ben 10 if I was in a coma. Amen 10. There's just no ring to that. Sorry. Now at number 6 is the Scooby Draft. I truly believe Scooby-Doo will go down as one of the best cartoons in cartoon history, like hands down. An unpopular opinion, but Scooby himself was my least favorite character, and I'm not even afraid to admit that. Come for me. Anyway, this theory explores the fact we never get told why a group of teenagers and a dog are traveling around the country in a van. The producers were probably like, don't worry about it, no one's even gonna care, and then everyone's like, what's happening? Either way, this theory claims because the show premiered in 1969 and the Vietnam War was at its peak at that time, that the gang was actually driving to Canada to avoid being drafted. Everyone's just coming to Canada these days, I love it. Oh, Canada. The theory goes on to say Fred was drafted, but since he had all the mystery solving skills and zero combative skills, he knew he'd most likely die on the field, so he decided to run away with his fiancée Daphne. Since Velma is an activist for the war to stop, she went along with them, and Shaggy is clearly a hippie who's not going to war anytime soon, so he joined the gang as well. Coming in at number 5 are Tommies and Jerries. If anyone has anything bad to say about Tom and Jerry, then get out right now, because you need to put some respect on that show, because it paved so many people's childhoods. Like, I won't hear it. I won't hear it. This theory is crazy but interesting, so here goes. Apparently Tom and Jerry was Nazi propaganda. Hear me out, hear me out. Let's start with the names Tom and Jerry. Way back when, British soldiers were referred to as Tommies and German soldiers were called Jerries. Tom is always the bad guy, and in every episode he does his level best to kill Jerry any way he can. But Jerry fools him every time, either by blowing him up with some dynamite or running back into his hole. I don't know. The show aired in 1940, the same year as the Battle of Britain, so the theory claims the show is just a coded message about superior German intelligence. What do we think about that? At number 4 is a series of unfortunate chicken. You have to love me for these names, I'm pretty proud of myself. Either way, Cow and Chicken in my opinion was one of the most annoying shows on the channel. That was the first show on when I got home from school, and I was always just waiting for it to be over. Having said that, maybe I misjudged the whole thing. According to this fan theory from Redditor AJ of Stewart, Cow and Chicken was dark. Firstly, they're the only animals in the show. Everyone else is human, including their parents, but they're not. The duo get up to the most screwed up things that most parents would punish them for, but their parents seem oddly cool about everything. If anything, Chicken could kill someone and his dad would still be super proud of him. The theory claims the whole show takes place in Chicken's mind, since in reality, he's the bastard son of a broken home. Not to be confused with Jon Snow, because that's a different show. His dad puts him down all the time and emotionally abuses him, which is why in his head, his dad always just goes on about how proud of him he is. Cow is Chicken's sister, and in real life she's a slightly airheaded, emotionally needy, overweight girl, all because of growing up in the same toxic household as Chicken. So in his head, she's this helpless cow. He knows he's choosing to escape his reality rather than face it, which is why in his head he made himself a chicken. At least he's fully aware. Lastly, the weird devil character is every third-party adult he meets, like a divorce lawyer, his principal, the repo man, etc. And all in all, this hasn't made me like the show anymore. So sorry not sorry. Sucks to suck. Filling our number 3 slot are the Grim Adventures Part 1. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was an interesting show for kids. I don't know whose idea it was to base a whole cartoon off the thing that represents death, but sure, we'll go with it. This series is similar to Ed, Edd and Eddy in the sense it assumes everyone living in Ennsville is dead, but that's the only similarity, I promise. The entire town is dead, and Billy's family is the most recently deceased family since they just moved there. Hence, they're also the most disturbed by everything going on around them. Grim reminds everyone that they're still awaiting judgment and to remind them of their sins. When he does go and collect souls, he's not killing them, he's actually escorting them to either God or Satan. In the episode Keeper of the Reaper, Billy's family is just about to move out of Ennsville, and so Mandy and him start arguing over who's gonna keep Grim, like he's some pet or something. This is the Grim Reaper, guys, he's not your goldfish. When really, the argument is actually which side does Grim serve? Is it hell, which Mandy represents with her harshness and cruelty, or is it heaven, which Billy represents with his innocence? In the end, the fact Billy doesn't leave means Grim serves both heaven and hell, but hell has more dominance over him, and we can see that because Mandy is the one that always tells Grim what what to do. I think that's a banging theory, to be fair. Everything pretty much checks out. That's a yes from me. Now at number 2 are the Grimm Adventures Part 2. This one is long-winded, so pay attention guys. In the episode Who Killed Who, Mandy meets an elderly woman called Miss Doolin who tells Mandy she beat Grimm in a staring contest once. After they diss Billy a bunch, Mandy leaves the house and realizes Miss Doolin was a ghost and that Grimm had known her for a while but had come to reap her soul. It's like Miss Doolin knew Grimm her whole life and constantly beat death. Does that remind you of anyone? Mandy wins over Grimm in every episode in arguments and things, and even look at the pendant Miss Doolin is wearing. It's a spider, and in the show we know Mandy quite likes spiders. At the very start of the show, Mandy could have easily beat Grimm in a staring contest, but she actually beat him in limbo. Miss Doolin is old and could have easily confused the limbo competition with the staring contest. So with all that explanation, the actual theory is that Mandy could be an old woman now who's remembering her childhood in the form of Miss Doolin. Instead of remembering humans, she remembers monsters because she's schizophrenic. As the show goes on, it just gets weirder and weirder, and that reflects Mandy slowly losing her mind. When she does finally die, that's when she realizes Grimm won for once. I'm saying for once like he even has to win more than once. Once you're dead, you're dead. And finally, at number 1 is The Tragedy Next Door. Codename Kids Next Door was so fun. I loved the missions they'd go on, and I'd pair up which ones had crushes on each other. Like number 4 and 3 were definitely a ting, you can't convince me otherwise. Either way, this theory is morbid. Dubbed as the hospital theory, this one says that all the kids were patients at a local hospital, and a nurse told them that they were all a squad of secret agents to make them feel better. Number 5's parents were divorced and her dad left them poor. Her mum blamed the whole thing on her and beat her, hence she ended up in the hospital, and also why she's kind of like a mother figure to the group since she wants to be a better one than her own mum. And number 4 came from a rough neighborhood and got mugged by a man and didn't back off, so the dude ended up stabbing him, hence he's in the hospital. Number 3's family were all drug addicts and would abuse her. This is just not getting any lighter, I'm sorry. So one day she took her mum's antidepressants, but the next day her dad shot her mum and she walked in on it and felt nothing because of the pills heavily affecting her. Her dad then shot her to leave no witnesses, but she survived and ended up at the hospital. Number 2 surprisingly actually had a pretty good loving upbringing. His parents really let his creativity flourish, but his uncle was jealous of him since his own abilities had never been encouraged, so he decides to overstuff him. Even when he says no, he forcefully feeds him, and so he ends up in the hospital because of obesity and the chance of heart failure. Number 1's dad had Alzheimer's, but he didn't mind taking care of him. He's the only adult number 1 actually liked, but after his mum disappeared, all the doctors and nurses just weren't looking after his dad. One day when he took him to the hospital, number 1 puked and he found out he had cancer, and so he started hating adults after feeling like he was being tortured with chemo and whatnot. And so this squad of kids just went around just hating adults in the hospital ward. And that's all for today guys. I tried not to repeat too many shows from the first video. I think Scooby-Doo was the only one that appeared again, which I'm not even mad about really. Let me know which one of these shows you used to watch or currently watch in the comments below. As always, I'm your host Eamon Hassan, and I'll see you next time. Bye!